What if I told you that we got paid for the whole 8 months just to live here? I'm Emily, and this is Matt, and this has been our home for the last 8 months as we winter caretake at the lodge. Subscribe and join us on this journey. Make sure to hit the bell for notifications for weekly video updates.
We were hired here as winter caretakers for 8 months to act as a presence on this remote lodge property during its off-season. Since this place is so hard to reach in the winter months, it's important that someone is here to make sure no damage happens, whether from storms, wildlife, or trespassers. But this job isn't just about being here. It's about being able to handle minor to extreme situations completely alone. We're around 25 miles away as the crow flies to the closest town, and if we need a spare part or extra food, a helicopter likely wouldn't be able to reach us, especially with how quickly the weather changes, making it too dangerous to land. So we have to be able to fix things with what we have, keep up with maintenance, and prevent problems before they happen. Otherwise, small issues can turn into massive problems very quickly. A lot of people ask how much we actually get paid for a job like this. So today, we're breaking it all down. Our responsibilities, what caretakers typically earn in BC, and whether it's worth it.
Once you pass it,
Let us know in the comments how much you think a winter caretaker should be paid. Right, so before we get into the pay, being a winter caretaker isn't just about being able to live in this beautiful remote area. It's about keeping everything running at the lodge day in and day out. And when we're this remote, you have to be completely self-sufficient. Because if anything breaks, no one is able to come out and fix it for us. Every night we usually switch to the small generator, which gives us just enough power to charge our phones, have internet access in case of an emergency while we're sleeping, and bedside table lights. Though sometimes we don't have lights at all and we just use flashlights. Or we'll switch to the main generator that runs the whole lodge, depending on what our needs are, and if we're experiencing any issues with the small gas generator. Once we get up in the morning, the diesel generator that runs the whole lodge needs to be run at least once a day to keep the fridge and the freezers at temperature. Obviously, if we are constantly turning the diesel generator on and off, that will cause some issues to the fridge and the freezers that we will have to maintain. The diesel generator also powers the boilers, which means if we had no main power, that means no heat and our pipes could freeze. Just like in February, when we lost running water for a few days because the heat tape failed, most likely due to age or moisture.
We had to put in there. That keeps the water warm.
It was the worst time for this to happen, as I got super sick for a couple days, and it would have been so nice to have a warm shower to make me feel better. We definitely knew that coming into this job that we wouldn't be able to have access to those kinds of luxuries, like having a hot shower. We knew that we would face certain challenges, but those are just the kinds of things that you need to accept when you take on a job like this. Most of the time, these issues are pretty minor and they're an easy fix, but you should always prepare for the worst. The small gas generator needs refueling at least a couple times a day when in use. We've noticed that we've had to change the oil and the filters pretty frequently on the small gas generator, as we are using it more often than we thought. With the larger diesel generator that runs the whole lodge, we refuel that every week and after 500 hours of runtime, so that's usually about once a month, we have to do a full oil change and replace all the filters. The lodge does have 2 backup main diesel generators that we can switch in between in case one breaks down, which is really nice. Even though the lodge gave us way more than enough gas and diesel to get us through the entire season of our contract, we wanted to make sure that we were tracking our fuel consumption and turning off the generators when not in use, so that in case if there was an emergency or if we were stuck here for longer, we would have more than enough diesel and gas in case we needed it.
Just draining the fuel tank again.
We were averaging around 450 liters of diesel during the wintertime, 350 liters during the springtime, a week. And for gas, around 80 to 100 liters a week. With weeks left, we still have plenty of diesel and gas left over, because we did our best to conserve the fuel as much as possible. The lodge gets a barge sent in at the beginning of the season and at the end of the season, which will have a whole bunch of supplies and fuel on it. So we want to make sure that we have enough fuel for when the barge does come back in at the beginning of the season.
Every day, we check the water level in our tanks, and 2 to 3 times a week, we run the reverse osmosis system to keep the tanks full, just in case something freezes or we run into major issues with the diesel generator or the RO pumps. We've already had to replace a deep submersible pump this season, and that's just part of the job.
There is so much more to this job than we show you. Out here, you have to be prepared for anything.
From bears wandering nearby to unexpected visitors after months of isolation. When a small fishing boat with 3 men appeared in our bay, with no large commercial boat in sight, it definitely caught our attention, since we hadn't seen anyone for half a year.
Yeah, they can see us.
We didn't want to spend our time here and not use the boat, but first we had to learn how to maintain it and use it. Issues arose that we haven't dealt with before. From oil changes to changing filters and everything, it's very similar to a car. So if you can change the oil in your car, you can probably do this. YouTube videos are a helpful way to troubleshoot, especially for a boat. It's not just boats though. We're constantly tackling odd jobs, MacGyvering fixes, and prepping the dock and helipad for massive storms or ocean swells. And even with all that effort, things don't always go as planned. Like when the helipad ramp slid into the water, and it took us several days to try to figure out how we're going to haul it back out. That thing is extremely heavy, and we didn't want to lose it. We're having issues, still having issues with this generator. And with always running on generator power, there's never-ending generator maintenance. Again, and again, and again. Not complaining, just showing that there's a lot of our time spent tinkering, fixing, problem solving, far away from the camera. And it's definitely not always sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes I'm outside for hours fixing things. We constantly have to monitor our fridge and freezer compressors to keep our food safe and make sure it stays frozen. If it's not one thing needing attention, it's another. One time our fridge was not maintaining temperature. We found out it was just a buildup of ice. And yes, even when it comes to using the hot tub, it's not just for relaxation. It means more maintenance, cleaning, sanitizing, and troubleshooting.
Yeah? Is it nice and warm?
Pretty rough.
Yeah.
It's not hard work, but it is a lot of work behind the scenes. But it's part of what makes this experience so real and rewarding.
All right, I promise we're almost there. So is this job worth it? Yes. We applied for this job because we wanted to experience something few people get to. The beauty of being so far out in untouched nature. We wanted to see how the isolation, the quiet, the raw environment would affect our mental health. It's not always easy, the hard work, the challenges, the constant maintenance, but the rewards go so much deeper than the surface. Out here, you reconnect with yourself, with each other, and with the land around you. And for us, it's been completely worth it to learn more about ourselves in this environment. With all that said, We make it a priority to move our bodies, make sure we're exercising, and stay playful. Whether that's hiking, exploring the area, or just having fun together. It's a huge part of keeping our spirits up and staying mentally and physically healthy out here. Since this isn't our property, we've had to get creative with how we spend our time. Normally, we would dive into building projects or hands-on work, but instead, making these videos and sharing our experience with all of you has become something really meaningful for both of us. It's given us purpose, a creative outlet, and a way to stay connected while living so remotely. Even though we've experienced cabin fever and periods of depression while being out here, from losing our dog just before we came, and navigating life without her, and Matt losing his grandmother, it's been a season filled with a lot of grief. But through all of that, we're still deeply grateful. Grateful for the chance to slow down, to reconnect with each other, to be surrounded by this wild, quiet beauty. This place has given us space to feel everything, to mourn, to heal, to find small moments of peace in the midst of it all.
So how much do we actually get paid as winter caretakers? Honestly, it's pretty public if you can search caretaker jobs around this province, but not all gigs are the same. Some are volunteer positions with no pay, and they don't all offer the same benefits. We got really lucky. Not only did we get paid, but we also didn't have to buy any groceries the entire time being here. The lodge provided us with all of our food. That alone saved us around $1,000 a month, being so remote. Plus, since we weren't spending any money on anything for the next 8 months, we managed to pay off a lot of bills, including our vet bills and lower monthly expenses, before we even arrived. Not paying rent was a huge bonus. As for the actual wage, they pay us per day, so we got paid $180 a day. But that can change depending on the company you work for. Even though the position is preferred for a couple, they only pay you for one person. At the start, Em and I split the position, meaning we both got paid. That way, we were both covered under insurance if anything happened out here. And we were also able to qualify for employment insurance once the season ended and we got laid off, if needed. But just a heads up, not all caretaker jobs are like this. Some will fly you out more often and give you regular breaks, but you'll have to buy your own groceries or figure out your own transportation. We're super grateful we landed in this position. If you're thinking about taking on a caretaker job yourself, just know every setup is different. Do your research, know what's being offered, and make sure the fit is right for you. Thanks for following along with our journey. And if you have any more questions about remote life, drop them in the comments. We'll be happy to share more about what's it really like out here.
We really hope that you enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for next week's video.